Kuzma, gotta look at it, and it's whipped!
Imagine for a moment that you're a college player who wants to enter the NBA draft. You're amongst the most elite hoopers, you've dedicated your whole life to improving every detail of your game, and you've probably been the best player on your team at every level until you reached college basketball. But there, you realize that everyone is just as good as you are. Every year the NBA drafts 60 players from the same generation. 60 players who were chosen not only from the 351 Division I colleges in the United States, but also from leagues and countries all over the world. The competition to make it to the NBA each year is simply unimaginable to anyone who has not lived through the process. And every year, hundreds of players of elite basketball talent are not drafted in June. These players, after overcoming the disappointment of not fulfilling their lifelong dream, have to fight to even get a 10-day contract on a roster in the best basketball league in the world. And the first step to achieve it is to get a spot in the Summer League during the month of July. The success percentage is tremendously low, and the players know that every play in front of the eyes of the league scouts and coaches is vital for their future. It's like a test that virtually no one can pass. But that's precisely what we bring you in this video. Those rare cases of 1 in 100,000 in which players who have come to the Summer League empty-handed return with a contract and possibly a career in the NBA. A good example of this was Kendrick Nunn. The shooting guard, who was undrafted in 2018, had all the attributes to be a good player in Eric Spoelstra's system. So a year after playing Summer League with the Warriors while having a very poor performance, he knew that it would probably be his last chance to reach a spot in the NBA. And Nunn balled out in that second opportunity, averaging 22 points and 5 assists with very good shooting percentages in the Summer League that convinced Pat Riley to offer him a roster spot in the NBA. Kendrick was able to translate that style of play to the most demanding league in the world, averaging 15 and 14 points per game in his first 2 seasons that guaranteed him a starting spot in Miami. Just when it looked like he had the potential to become a very good NBA player, knee injury stalled his career. The shooting guard was only able to sign a 1-year, $5 million contract with the Lakers after his performance in Spoelstra's system. Another player who exploded under this exact coach was Max Strus, just 1 year later than Nunn. The player had a really tough road to the NBA, scoring 22 points per game in the Summer League to prove his worth. But his progress in the NBA was much slower, progressively gaining minutes and prominence in the Heat's plans. However, these past playoffs have shown that Strus is a great role player with the skills to compete at any level. Max, who was not a regular starter in most of his 2 seasons with the Miami Heat, exploded onto the scene this playoffs, filling the starting 3 spot for the runner-up Heat. His strong performances have allowed him to sign a 4-season, $63 million contract with the Cleveland Cavaliers, where he's expected to contribute in a similar role, but in a much younger environment. The path of our next player was completely different from the 2 cases we've seen. Christian Wood was a player with great potential that scouts raved about. However, his mentality and lack of discipline caused him to go from being considered one of the most promising players in the draft to being undrafted. Draft night was torture for him, listening to name after name as he waited for his own name to appear to no avail. But his offensive skills at the 5 spot were so extraordinary that it didn't take long for teams to notice him. He scored 19 points per game in the Utah Summer League with the Philadelphia 76ers and landed a G League contract that allowed him to shine in this competition. Soon after, Wood would make a place for himself in the league as an excellent bench player. He's earned $31 million in his career so far, but this figure could increase if he can find a team that can use him properly. TJ McConnell also played in the Summer League with the Philadelphia 76ers. The point guard, who was undrafted in 2015, had a decent role in the summer competition with a team that didn't have very high standards. His leadership skills and decision-making allowed him to get into the team's rotation quickly, considering that Tony Wroten was also injured that same season. His evolution in the NBA was very satisfactory, becoming one of the best backup point guards in the league, partly because of actions like this one.
Here's Ilyasova. Here's McConnell. Can he get it off? Yes! And the Sixers win it!
McConnell currently has interest from powerhouses like the Phoenix Suns, and the player has earned $18 million during his career. That'll become $36 million when his current 2-year contract ends. Another point guard who has had a similar experience was Alex Caruso. His case is a bit more surprising, as his Summer League could be classified as a bust, with averages of 7 points, 5 assists, and 4 turnovers per game. However, the Lakers saw something in him. Caruso had good defensive skills, and despite the turnovers, he showed good vision, plus an amazing athleticism that ended up leaving LeBron James speechless.
Rondo 3 up high and off the Caruso parachutes in!
Alex since then has become a vital part of the Chicago Bulls. but ended up suffering from injuries that have left him away from the court. Nonetheless, the player will have made $33 million as soon as his current contract ends in 2 seasons, and at just 29 years old, he'll have time to make more money in the league if he continues to prove his worth. You don't have to move from Los Angeles to see the case for our next player on the list. This is Austin Reaves, who after being undrafted in 2021, earned a spot to play Summer League with the Lakers. He didn't have the best week either, averaging 9 points per game on 32% shooting from the field. However, the Lakers, who by the way must have a list of their players' hidden potential during Summer League as if it were 2K, also saw something in him.
How you feel?
Feels great. Like I said, everything comes full circle. All I needed was an opportunity, and I knew that.
Seems unbelievable but true, but Reaves wanted to choose his destiny and preferred to be undrafted, because he knew he had the ability to show his skills at the next level. Austin has become an essential piece of the Lakers, earning a starting role during the playoffs, averaging 17 points, 4 rebounds, and 5 assists per game, and has signed a $64 million contract for the next 4 seasons, which honestly seems like a real steal. We have to go much farther back in time to see the case of Wesley Matthews. The shooting guard was undrafted in 2009, and after a mediocre summer league with the Utah Jazz, he got a roster spot to play the Las Vegas Summer League with the Sacramento Kings during that same summer. He had good shooting percentages in the limited time he played. His outside shooting and good defensive skills allowed him to be a starter since his rookie season, and he ended up playing with Portland, where he played the best years of his career offensively. One of the best 3-and-D of his generation, he managed to stay in the NBA for 14 seasons, earning $112 million during his career. Ish Smith is another player who enjoyed a long NBA career, as well as finally winning a championship at the age of 35 with the Denver Nuggets. As many as 13 teams, almost half the league, have had Ish Smith on their roster. The 2010 Summer League, in which he averaged 8 points and 5 assists per game, allowed him to be signed by the Houston Rockets. However, Ish toured teams until finally in 2015, he had regularity to prove his skill. Since then, he's become a good backup point guard who's managed to play 762 games in the NBA, earning $40 million during his career. Undoubtedly a dream come true for the most nomadic player we've ever seen. And finally, what better way to finish than with one of the most incredible stories of overcoming the odds in sports. Jeremy Lin played the Summer League with the Dallas Mavericks during the summer of 2010 after being undrafted, where he had a great performance in the limited playing time he had. 10 points per game in 18 minutes with a 54% shooting percentage from the field, and 67 in three-pointers gave him a place, not in the Mavericks, but in Stephen Curry's Golden State Warriors. After playing less than 300 minutes during the season, the player headed to New York, where he played the 35 most important games of his career.
Out to Lin. Lin fakes, pull-up jump shot. Knocks it down!
The Linsanity phenomenon was viral around the world, being one of the most amazing stories we've seen in recent NBA history. Jeremy's career was severely hampered by injuries, but his career earnings exceed $65 million. Most fans really don't care about Summer League. Yet those summer weeks represent the most important days in the lives of many players who in a short period of time can see their dreams fulfilled or shattered. While some players get small contracts that give them air to fight for their hopes for another year, others have to wonder what they'll do with their lives beyond basketball.